It's your boy Big Homie Pack. I'm coming live from the Real Life Sports Nation.
The balls on the way, I got my foes on my plate.
It's your boy Big Homie Pack. I'm tapping in live from the Real Life Sports Nation. And on today's episode, we're going to get into why I feel like after free agency, the Lakers are set to reach the NBA Finals and capture their 17th title. Without further ado, thank you for tapping into the nation. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into it. I think we need to start this video off. We're giving a big shout out to Rob Pelinka and the Laker Nation for the outstanding job he did in free agency. And with the word coming down that Christian Wood has signed a 2-year deal for a veteran minimum, we got to get into the reasons why I feel like after free agency and barring any major injuries, the Los Angeles Lakers will capture their 17th title at the end of the season. I feel like the Lakers had 3 waves of free agency. We had the re-signs, the new acquisitions, and then the final stage with us signing Christian Wood. So without further ado, we're going to get into the re-signs. Lakers re-signed former number 2 overall pick in 2015, D'Angelo Russell, to a 2-year, $37 million deal, which is ranked 26th among point guards. I like the value. D'Lo's ranked around 23rd for point guard in the coming seasons by most sites. He needs to keep trending upwards in his 3-point percentage. In 17 games with the Lakers last year, he shot 41% from 3 with a career average of 36% from long range. Now, we got to get into the fact that D'Lo did struggle in the playoffs. He shot only 42% from the field, 31% from 3, and I expect him to use that as motivation, come out, have a great season, and help lead the Los Angeles Lakers to the title. Next, we have to get into fan favorite, Austin Reeves. He signed a 4-year, $65 million max deal. Last year was his breakout season. He averaged 13 points per game, which was up from 7 points per game in 2021. I think he showed that he could be a ball handler and a playmaker. Moving along, we got to go on to fan favorite, Austin Reeves. He signed a 4-year, $65 million max deal, and last year was his breakout year. He averaged 13 points per game, which was up from 7 points per game in 2021. I think Reeves showed he could be a ball handler and a playmaker for the Lakers. I think the Lakers took off last season when he was put into the starting lineup. And in the playoffs, he really established himself as the third option behind LeBron and AD. He would manage to up his average to 16.9 points per game and shoot 44% from long range. If we're being honest, Austin Reeves is one of the leading candidates for most improved players of the year. This video was 6 games with Team USA in the FIBA World Cup. He's averaging 11 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And was just named the starter in the upcoming game against Germany. I think it's safe to say that with what he showed us last year and what he's shown us with Team USA, I truly expect Austin Reeves to have a breakout season. Next up, we have Rui Hachimura, the former number 9 overall pick out of Gonzaga via Japan. I really like this signing. I think he was in a traffic jam for minutes in Washington the last 2 seasons. He missed the first 39 games due to personal reasons, and some would say that he's a locker room guy and has character issues. But I think getting a new start in Los Angeles, knowing he's wanted, getting that big paycheck, I expect for him to continue to progress and show why he was a top 10 pick. In the playoffs, he upped his 3-point percentage to 48%, and it was only 32% during the season. Rui can knock down jumpers, and he can go out there and get his own basket. He's a streaky shooter, but when he's on, man, he can knock it down. Moving along, we're going to get into the second wave of the free agent signings, which were our free agent acquisitions. I feel like we signed a couple role players in Taurean Prince, on a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. He shoots 37% from the 3-point line for his career. Scrappy role player off the bench. He's a stretch four. He's going to help with floor spacing. And then next up, you have Gabe Vincent on a 3-year, $33 million deal. He is out of Santa Barbara, so he's coming back to California. He's a solid backup point guard. And I mean, to be honest, he can start for you if you need him to. I prefer he comes off the bench, but he can start for you. He's coming off of a breakout postseason where he averaged 12.7 points per game on 40% from the 3-point line with the Miami Heat. So I would consider them the two role players we signed. And then part of that second wave, you have two guys that I feel we signed off of potential, who are low risk, high reward type guys, and two former lottery picks, and 24-year-old Cameron Reddish and 23-year-old Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes spent last year in New Orleans splitting backup minutes at the center position with Herman Gomez behind Valanciunas. He only played a career low 13 minutes per game, which was the lowest of his 4-year career. I think he has potential on the defensive end, and he's shown flashes. I mean, the guy's listed at 6'11 with a 7'3 wingspan. I expect for him to play a fair amount of minutes behind AD and Christian Wood in a similar role for a winning team. And the final acquisition of our low-risk, high-reward players is Cam Reddish, former number 10 overall pick of the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like he failed to live up to expectations in Atlanta for 3.5 seasons, was dealt to the New York Knicks, and failed to reach the rotation traded at the trade deadline. He managed to put on a better showing towards the end of the season last year in 20 games with the Portland Trail Blazers. Last year, he averaged 9.7 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, and 1.4 assists on 44% from the field. He has no playoff experience, and he only shoots 32% from the 3-point line for his career. But I think that he has a good upside, man. I looked for him to get and help create for others. He definitely needs to work on his jumper, but we don't need him to be a star. We just need him to be a solid rotation piece, maybe step in and play some starting minutes on nights when LeBron sits out. Last but not least, we have our final signing, and I feel like our biggest acquisition, Christian Wood. He signed a 2-year deal, veteran minimum. I mean, it's really a 1-year deal. Second year is a player option. I think it's perfect for both sides. He gets to reestablish himself, show he can help win, show he's not a problem in the locker room. And you know, he's a guy from out there in Cali too. He from Long Beach, went to college at UNLV. Last year he averaged 16 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 1.8 assists on 51% from the field, all while playing the least amount of minutes since the 2019 season with the Detroit Pistons when he broke out. I mean, to be honest, I feel like a lot of the things that's going on with Christian Wood and why he's available has to do with the media perception and how his former organization played it. I think him and Jason Kidd couldn't see eye to eye. I mean, he's great for floor spacing. Career 3-point percentage at 38%. But he does have his flaws. He's got to show he can play D. He's lackluster on defense at best put. He's definitely a liability, but I expect him to excel this year, man. I mean, he had 34 double-doubles last year, which matched his last 5 seasons combined. He only started 17 games last year, and the man had 34 double-doubles and was only playing 26 minutes a game. And I mean, if we're being honest, we've seen his numbers drop after the All-Star break, which had to do with Jason Kidd and the acquisition of Kyrie Irving. He was only playing 20 minutes per game after the All-Star break. I mean, he's a consistent double-double threat. I feel like he'll be a fan favorite because he's a walking bucket. He'll most likely start at least at the beginning of the season since AD doesn't want to play the 4, and we'll see how that goes and see if he can get up to par on defense. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I mean, this is a deep roster. It's very diverse. We've got self-creators. We got play initiators. Can't forget the fact we have 2 superstars. We got a couple sharpshooters. We have very high-level defenders. And we've got a couple two-way wings. I mean, some people are saying the starting lineup will be Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Christian Wood. Which, I see that. And that's a possibility because I feel like if you start Woods, it's hard to start D'Lo because with both of them being lackluster defenders, it really puts the team in a bad position. But honestly, I like D'Lo to start at point guard. I like the tempo him and Austin Reeves have, and I like the chemistry they started to pick up towards the end of the season. I think that Vincent is a more consistent defender. He needs the ball less. I think Darvin Ham is in a great situation. He'll be able to experiment at the beginning of the season, see what lineups work with who works with what. If you bring D'Lo off the bench, he can play the one or the two. I think Austin Reeves, I expect him to break out. I mean, let's be honest. Let's break down the versatility of this team. You have Rui Hachimura, who can play the three or the four. You've got D'Lo, he can play the one or the two. Austin Reeves, I feel like, can play the one, two, or the three. Vanderbilt, he can play the 3, 4, or the 5, depending if we want to go into a small ball lineup. AD can play the 4 or the 5. If we want to play stretch ball, Cameron Reddish can play the 2 through the 4. Christian Wood can play the 4 or the 5. And yeah, let's not fail to mention that the King LeBron James, you can plug him in anywhere and he can play all 5 positions. And on the matchup, the Lakers can really exploit mismatches. I feel like we could play positionless basketball this year. We could spread the floor with shooters. We could go hard in the paint. I mean, this is a very good roster, a very well put together roster, and I think that Rob Pelinka deserves hats off. And to be honest, at the end of the year, he might win GM of the year for these moves he's made. Now, I also said injuries, so you know we got to start with Anthony Davis when it comes to injuries. I expect AD to have another breakout year last year. I think he reestablished himself as a top threat in the league last year. And I think, barring any major injuries, after signing his 3-year, $186 million extension, which is annually $62 million a year, which is the highest in league history, he'll be locked up with the Lakers until 2028. I mean, last year he averaged 26 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, which was a career high, and 2 blocks. He also shot 56% from the field, which was a career high. He played 56 games last year, which was up from 40 in the previous year. He played around 34 minutes per game. I think we need AD to play about 50 or 60 games this year, and I think he needs to be around about 30 minutes per game. AD's only played 60 plus games and won out of his 4th season with the Lakers. I'm going to say that again. My boy, AD, I ride with you. I'm tapped in. But you got to be available. You've played 60 plus games, 1 out of 4 seasons with the Lakers. You got to do better, my boy. You need to take care of your body. You're so fragile. Maybe you need to walk around in bubble wrap. I don't know. But we need you to stay healthy because you're going to help fuel this team to a championship. Last but not least, we got to speak on the King, LeBron James. Entering his 21st season, I mean, it's been since 17-18, his last year in Cleveland, since LeBron's played a full season. He's only played 60 plus games 1 out of the 5 seasons with the Lakers. Last year, he averaged 35 minutes per game, which I feel is too high. Darvin Ham needs to bring that down. I mean, the man's 38 years old. I know he's the ageless wonder, but I think in the playoffs, with him averaging 38 minutes per game in the playoffs, along with carrying the heavy load in the regular season, you really start to see chinks in his armor. I mean, his scoring efficiency dropped, his assists per game dropped, his 3-point percentage dropped, and his field goal percentage dropped. And I think that just comes from playing too many minutes. Darvin Ham's got to figure out how and when to plug LeBron in. Comparison to anybody at this age would be Vince Carter, who played 43 games at 16 minutes per game with the Memphis Grizzlies at the same age and averaged a mere 6.6 points per game. So yeah, we need LeBron to stay healthy. He's the key to all this, along with Anthony Davis. I mean, they're 1A and 1B, and we need them both. The only time both players in a Lakers uniform played 60 plus games was in the bubble season, and that was the year we won the title. And that shows me right there that when both our guys are available and we get a chance to get some chemistry, that it's hard to beat the Lakers. But man, it's hard to win games when our guys aren't playing often and they're not having chemistry and they're not playing together. So I think if LeBron and AD both can stay healthy, that the Lakers will win their 17th title at the end of the season and tie the Boston Celtics for the most in NBA history. But let me go ahead and wrap this up, man. I think I've proven my point. I think I've given you the reasons why after our free agent class, our re-signings, our additions, and if our two superstars can stay healthy, why the Lakers will win the title. Don't get me wrong, it will not be easy. In the Western Conference, we in the Pacific Division. You got Sacramento, Phoenix, Golden State, and the Clippers. All five teams in this division are expected to make the playoffs. I think that at the end of the season, LeBron James will win his second title with the Lakers, which would give him 2 out of 6 seasons with the Los Angeles Lakers, his fifth overall as he continues to chase MJ and the GOAT discussion. I think it's also important to note that AD will continue to reestablish himself as a dominant player in the league, as a top player in the league, and show that he's nothing to play with. I mean, the Lakers locked him up till 2028, which means that he will be there after LeBron. It will be his team, and there will not be a gap between the Lakers having a superstar. But, I mean, honestly, that's neither here nor there. But it's your boy, Big Homie Pack. Thank you for tapping into the Sports Nation. And I just broke down to you why the reasons after free agency I feel like the Los Angeles Lakers will capture the title at the end of the season. Shout out to Rob Pelinka for the major moves he's made this all season. Like I said, I think he's the top candidate for GM of the year due to this offseason he's had. Thank you for tapping into the nation. It's your boy, Big Homie Pack. I'm coming live from the Real Life Nation. And don't forget, if you're ready to have a real sports conversation, tap in with the Real Life Sports Nation. I'm gone.